Hello everyone, it's Snow aka Jed, the rogue behind classicroguecraft.com, and today I'm back with my updated Phase 5 weapon DPS cheat sheet. So many of you guys have used my Phase 4 DPS cheat sheet on classicroguecraft.com to check the DPS totals for all the main raid weapon combinations. Well, now we're back with the Phase 5 version, and I updated it with all the requests you guys made before, including rank 14 weapons, Thunder Fury, and Dagger DPS totals, as well as all the Phase 5 weapons that are coming up. There's actually some really interesting changes in weapon rankings, particularly in the sword category, so let's dive in and have a look. Now, as always, this video is brought to you by you guys. If you enjoy my free content, you can get extra rogue video guides by heading over to twitch.tv/snomie and hitting that sub button. Not only do I stream regularly, but Twitch subs help support my free content, and as thanks, you guys get access to a bonus channel of my Discord where I upload extra video guides once per week. I've covered things like AQ40, AQ20 faction guides, trinket guides, broodlord positioning guides in Blackwing Land, the past, and there's more content coming up every week. So head over to twitch.tv/snomie and subscribe and get yourself some bonus rogue tutorials and content inside our Discord. And even if you don't sub, feel free to drop into my Discord linked below, where I'm active daily answering questions and theory crafting with the other 5,600 rogues inside. So if you ever want to reference this guide, again, I do have both timestamps in this video, and also the text version of this guide, which is on classicroguecraft.com, is linked in the description below. So you have either option depending on which way you want to go. So easy access for the future. If you ever need to come back and check the sims again and check the weapon totals, you can find it on classicroguecraft.com. Alright, so let's get into the cheat sheet. So all of this doesn't need full explanations for everything, but I thought I'd cover the important parts because there are some interesting changes that some people might not realize in the DPS changes. So first things first, all of this DPS is simmed as an undead rogue for the swords part 1. And in the part 2 section, I do sword sims as a human rogue as well. And then of course I do dagger sims as well. And dagger sims, the race doesn't matter as much because there aren't any human type ratios to take into account. But yeah, so basically if you are not a human, you want to look at the undead sims. If you are human, you want to look at the human sims for the swords. And if you're a dagger, it doesn't really matter, so there's just one section on daggers. Okay, now I did sim all of this with full Phase 5 world buffs plus consumables with best in slot gear, so we're talking full tier 2.5 plus the best enchants, 90-second fight time. So these sims are basically just under the assumption that you're in full best in slot gear, best enchants, and you have a reasonably long-ish fight time so that you can get an actual estimate of the DPS. Okay, so for the first section we have the sword and fist main hands, so there's no real surprises here. As you can see, I have everything categorized as always. So just like my Phase 4 sheet, everything's categorized by all the main hands. So I've added in the new Phase 5 main hands here. So we have AQR, we have Thunder Fury as requested. So some of you guys asked me to include Thunder Fury and rank weapons in the next set of sims. So that's what I've done for Phase 5. So we have Thunder Fury here. We have the rank 14 main hand and off hands as well. We have the mace sims as well. So what's coming in Phase 5 is some people might be tempted to go mace with the sand polished hammer and the Anubisef warhammer, which gives mace skill as well. But just do note that if you look at these sims, so for example, even in the best case scenario, so you have the sand polished hammer with the Thunder Fury, and that does 1219 DPS, it still gets destroyed by even just a brutality blade and a blue weapon. So yeah, just be aware. So even the brutality blade and a mirror's song, there's 1241 DPS. So the mace spec really does suffer a lot from just not having any PvE offensive skills. So you're missing out on the 5% crit that you might get if you were fist spec or if you were dagger spec. You're missing out on any sword procs. And basically mace spec just isn't going to be a PvE thing. I would highly not recommend you play mace spec in PvE. Okay, so a quick brief rundown. At the top here, I do have the best in slot options available for your weapons. So quickly going through, we have the rank 14 and Thunder Fury. So if you have rank 14 and a Thunder Fury as well, then your best option is obviously going to be the rank 14 main hand plus a Thunder Fury offhand. Now, if you have no Thunder Fury but you are rank 14, your next best option is going to be rank 14 main hand plus a Maladef offhand. Now, if you are no rank 14 but you do have a TF, then you're going to be wanting to get an AQR, so Ancient Qiraji Ripper main hand and a Thunder Fury offhand. And finally, if you have no rank 14 or no TF, then you're going to go for an Ancient Qiraji Ripper and a Maladef. And that's going to be your best weapons for phase 5. Now, of course, if you want to check anything, all the sims are here for all the different weapon combinations. I simmed a lot of new weapon combinations as well. So obviously not everything, but all the ones that mostly made sense to sim it with. Now for part 2, we have human rogues. So just be aware, with human rogues, we did find something interesting. And that's what I want to bring attention to. So if you look here, for example, let's say you don't have rank 14, you don't have a Thunder Fury, you're just a standard human rogue going into phase 5. So you picked up, let's say you're lucky, you pick up an Ancient Qiraji Ripper from AQ40. Now the interesting thing to note as a human here is we were going into this assuming that Ravencrest Legacy would be the best option that made sense. And it still is one of the best options. But interestingly enough, as your main hand improves, the stats of the offhand start to matter even more, it seems, and CTS has overtaken as the best offhand for just a standard situation. Now, the thing to note here though, right, obviously we're not counting Thunder Fury, we're not counting rank weapons here, but the thing to note here for the CTS is just because it's technically the best human offhand, don't expect a lot of guilds to be giving you an AQR plus a CTS. It really doesn't make a huge amount of sense for a lot of guilds to do that when you can either get a Ravencrest Legacy or a Brutality Blade or a Warcraft Warblade of the Hikari, which is all not that much below a CTS. And in the case of the Ravencrest Legacy, it's practically on par. So we can see AQR plus Ravencrest Legacy is 1309. And AQR plus CTS is 1309 DPS as well. So that was just one of the surprise sims that came up, is that we noticed CTS was rising up in regards to everything else. And the other thing is also the Brutality Blade. So notice that for phase 4, a lot of rogues swapped up Brutality Blades for Warblade of the Hikari. So a lot of human rogues were doing that. But now with AQR, with the main hand improving, it seems Brutality Blade has actually caught up again and in some cases surpassed the Warblade of the Hikari. So just another thing to note is if you don't have a Warblade of Hikari yet, do note that it's fine if you just have a Brutality Blade, because it does just as much, if not a little bit more DPS now than a Warblade of the Hikari. So yeah, that was the other surprise. So these two surprises were the ones that stood out the most. So Brutality Blade is back up there on par, or maybe even a little bit ahead of a Warblade of the Hikari, which used to be the kind of the standard for human offhand for Swordsback. And the CTS has leaped all the way up here to be on par with a Ravencrest Legacy. Right, so now this just means you guys have a few more options. Now do note, obviously, look at the DPS difference. It's not a massive DPS difference. So don't expect guilds don't expect guilds to give you a CTS just because it's technically BIS by half a DPS or whatever it is. Okay, they're still probably going to expect you to get a Ravencrest Legacy or use a Brutality Blade or Warblade of the Hikari instead of assigning both an AQR and a CTS to one person. Okay, now the other thing to note with the human sims is the hammers do sim a little bit better. So Mace Spec does sim a little bit better just because humans do get some mace skill built in with the erasure. So while it's still not great, so we can see here, even in the best case scenario, if you have a sand polished hammer with a Thunder Fury that does 1266 DPS, so we compare it to like a Brutality Blade and an offhand, it's at least a little bit ahead of a Brutality Blade and Mirror Song. So it's still not great. It's still not something I would recommend, but just do know that it does seem a little bit better on human, but a little bit better of bad is still pretty bad. So I still don't recommend Mace Spec for pretty much anyone in phase 5. Okay, so to sum up for the human rogues, your best in slot options are, if you are rank 14 plus have a Thunder Fury, you're going to be going for rank 14 main hand plus a Thunder Fury offhand, obviously. If you are rank 14 but you have no Thunder Fury, you're going to be going for rank 14 main hand, rank 14 offhand. If you are not rank 14 but you have a Thunder Fury, you're going to be going for AQR plus Thunder Fury. And if you have no rank 14 or no TF as well, you're going to go for an AQR and a CTS. If for some reason your guild everyone has a main hand phase 4, phase 5 sword already, then you can look at this. Otherwise, the more common sense approach would be to go AQR plus a Ravencrest Legacy or a Brutality Blade or a Warblade of the Carry. So Ravencrest Legacy is the more sane option, unless your guild has some crazy sword drop luck. Now do note that a lot of you may be intimidated here by Ravencrest Legacy because the questline is kind of crazy. You may have heard how insane it is to do the Scarab Blood questline, which is what it requires you to get this Ravencrest Legacy. But don't be too worried because the hardest part is the faction. So the faction you actually will get by yourself in AQ40 and such. So the faction will take care of itself over time. It's only the Scarab Bloods that had to rush that faction. If you're just doing this quest slowly on your own, you won't have to rush the faction as much. So it's a lot more doable. It still does cost a whole bunch of arcane crystals and such to make it, but at least the faction, the hardest part, isn't as big of a struggle if you are human rogue and you want to slowly work towards your Ravencrest Legacy. Okay, so now let's talk dagger combinations. So this was requested last time I did my cheat sheets. You guys requested me to do daggers as well. It didn't make as much sense in phase 3, phase 4 because there wasn't as much variations. But now with phase 5, we have so many more dagger options. So I thought I'd include a proper dagger sim here. Now, do note, there's a big note here. Is because of the Dagger of Veiled Shadows set. So there's a 3-piece set from AQ20, the Veiled Shadow set, which is a 3-piece that reduces the cost of Slice and Dice. Because this set is so insanely powerful, once you get the 3-piece set and you're using this Dagger of Veiled Shadows, most likely in your offhand, you will not replace that offhand dagger until you get 2 AQ40 daggers. So this does mean that you need a Desting and a Pugio or 2 Pugios. So it's gonna be a long time before a lot of rogues ever swap out their 3-piece Veiled Shadow set. So get used to using your Dagger of Veiled Shadows in your offhand because it's going to be something you're going to be using for quite a long time. I don't expect many rogues to get 2 AQ40 daggers for quite a long time. Okay, now going on to the rest of the sim. Now a lot of these are pretty straightforward. I just included them for people that might not be coming into phase 5 with BIS gear. They might be using like a Fang of the Faceless in the main hand or something abnormal compared to the people that are coming in with a Perdition's Blade and a Dragon Fang's Blade and main hand already. That's a lot more straightforward for what upgrade paths you're gonna go. But I did include everything here. I simmed all the standard offhands. I didn't sim everything, but all the ones that made sense to sim here. And I included Thunder Fury just because, I don't know, for some reason there might be some dagger rogues who want to use Thunder Fury, but obviously if you have a Thunder Fury, you should probably look at swords. You shouldn't be going daggers. Okay, now let's talk about the Death Sting options. So if you get a Death Sting, obviously this is what every dagger rogue wants, is you will go Death Sting plus Blessed qiraji Pugio, which is 1348 DPS. So this is the BIS option. This is what every rogue wants to aim for if you get a Death Sting. If you have no Death Sting, but you have rank 14, then you will be aiming for rank 14 main hand plus a Blessed qiraji Pugio for your offhand. Now, do note you might not be super high prio there for the Pugio in your offhand because rank 14 offhand dagger isn't that bad either, but this is ideally what you would end up with. Now, if you have no Death Sting or rank 14 weapons, then you'll be going for 2 Pugios. So 2 Blessed qiraji Pugios will be your next best option there. But again, keep in mind, as we said earlier, the Dagger of Veiled Shadows is going to be stuck in your offhand for a really long time until you get some combination of either a rank 14 main hand, Death Sting, Pugio. Basically, you need 2 insane weapons to be able to ever swap out your Dagger of Veiled Shadows. Now, of course, the last thing to note is that I did sim this properly, so I did make sure that when I simmed with a Death Sting, I used the Gloves of Enforcement. So I swapped out the ACLG, which is the big advantage of getting your Death Sting. When I simmed with a Distracting Dagger, I did use Gloves of Enforcement as well. because that is the DPS increase there. And when I simmed with aged core leather gloves, I used that for all the other weapons when you needed the dagger skill. So I did sim all of these keeping dagger skill in mind so that you would hit the 308 dagger skill soft cap. Alright, so I hope this helps you guys out. Remember, this is all available in the text guide on the website. Link is in the description below, so if you want just a quick reference, you pick up a weapon, you want to see where it stands versus everything else, you can just come in here, check the DPS chart, and you can be on your way. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. This did take a long time, so if you guys enjoyed this, please leave a like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed, because this took hours upon hours of simming to get all of this data. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. I hope you're having a great AQ launch, and I hope your gates are open already or in the process of being opened when you watch this. And I wish you luck in the RNG of AQ40. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.